Let me grab my notes because, oh my gosh, do we have a lot to cover in this video. We are going through all of the sewing basics. This is going to take your sewing projects to the absolute next level. We're first going to cover the essential tools that you need for sewing. First and foremost, a sewing machine. I feel like that kind of goes without saying. You don't need anything super insane or crazy. Really, the two stitches that you will need to do the most are a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. So as long as your sewing machine can successfully do those stitches, then you are good to go. But I will have some sewing machine as well as all the other materials that you would need for your sewing projects linked in the description for you guys. The next thing is fabric scissors. This is incredibly important that your fabric scissors and your paper scissors are two different entities. And in addition to having fabric scissors, you might want some more little teeny tiny scissors when you're cutting threads. This is not necessary, but personally I really love having my tiny scissors because it just makes snipping threads a lot easier. You're also going to need some chalk or a heat erase marker or a water soluble marker. There's so many times in sewing when you need to draw and you need to do stuff and you don't want to harm the fabric, so having something like chalk or a water dissolvable ink pen is incredibly helpful for your sewing projects. Probably next to as important as your sewing machine is you need a good iron and ironing board and potentially even some ironing tools such as a ham or a sleeve roll. Is that what that one's called? I've been taking sewing classes for the past year, and my biggest takeaway is it doesn't matter how good you are at sewing, because sewing isn't about sewing, it's all about ironing. So you have to get good at ironing to be even remotely good at creating a sewing project. Your iron is going to literally be your best friend, and this is something that you absolutely need. Like, you need it. I can't stress how much you need your iron. Another thing that you are going to want are pins. These are just going to come in handy anytime you have to pin things together. Hi, Editing Katie here. I also forgot to mention you are going to want some measuring tape. We're always needing to measure in sewing, so you're gonna need this. Also, hi, my name is Katie. I make fashion and sewing content here on YouTube, so if that interests you, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button and join our fashion family. Anyways, back to the video. We are gonna have an entire section right now dedicated to ironing, and this is like the funniest thing, but it is so beyond important, and I had no idea how important ironing was until I started doing sewing lessons, which is one of the reasons I felt prompted to make this video, because I've collected some knowledge that I really want to share with you guys because it's helped me take my projects to the next level, and I want to help you take your projects to the next level. On day one of my sewing classes, I learned the word meld, and this is something that you need to do after every single stitch you sew. You want to meld the stitches to the fabric. So what this is just pressing with your iron over the stitches that you have done. What this does is it embeds the thread into your fabric, and it makes the stitch that you created a lot stronger. And not only that, but it makes your product look a lot better. Sometimes when you're sewing and when you just take it off the sewing machine, the fabric gets a little bit puckery. And then when you iron, when you meld your seam, then it becomes perfectly flat and it just embeds everything together. That also being said, you need to press your seams. The difference between an unpressed seam and a pressed seam is significant. When I first started sewing, I was like, okay, yeah, you hear press your seams, press your seams. I never did it. And then I started doing it because I started taking proper sewing classes, and oh my gosh, it makes the most massive difference. There are two ways that you can press your seams. You can press them open, which is you just open the two sides of the fabric and then you press, or you can press them in one direction and press them together. If there is one takeaway that you guys get from this video, it is meld your stitches and press your seams. That will instantly take your product to the next level. The next segment of this video is going to be seam finishes, and this is also going to add a professional touch to your garment. This is also going to protect your seams from fraying open. A lot of the time when you are working with woven fabrics, it can come unraveled very easily. So by having a seam finish, you are going to protect your seams from unraveling. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of seam finishes, and I'm going to go over two of the most basic. basic. The first is using a zigzag stitch to finish your seam. That's why having a sewing machine that does a zigzag is really important, because you can use that as a seam finish. Another option for seam finishes, if your sewing machine has this capability, is to do an overlock stitch. It kind of mimics what an overlock machine does, or a serger machine. It just kind of encapsulates the raw edge with the thread and just wraps around the edge of your seam. If you do own a serger, serging your edges is going to give you the absolute most professional look. You can also do things like enclosed seams, like a French seam or a flat felled seam, but that is, I would say, a little bit more advanced. It's not anything that I'm going to dive into specifically in this video. Another type of seam finish you can do is a bias wrapped seam, and there's lots of different variations of that as well. One more thing that we are going to go over is the grain line on your fabric. Now, this is incredibly important when you are cutting out your fabric. So when it comes to weaving fabric, it's made through thread that is just in a loom. So there's the vertical threads and then there's the horizontal threads. The vertical thread is your grain line. This is called the warp threads. When you are using a pattern, it will show you on the pattern where the grain line is supposed to fall and how you're supposed to place the pattern on your yardage. The horizontal threads are called the weft. These are the strongest points within your fabric. The 45-degree angle is called the bias, and this is very stretchy. The thread weaves horizontally and vertically, and so you want the grain line to be on that vertical weave. So when you stretch it from side to side, there's not a lot of stretch. When you stretch it up and down, there's not a lot of stretch. And then the bias is the 45-degree angle. You guys can see how stretchy that is. So when things are cut on a bias, it has a much more flowy and loose look, versus when they're cut on the grain line on the warp threads, it's going to be more stiff and structured. So depending on the piece that you are creating and the effect that you want the fabric to have, that will dictate how you cut your pattern. Okay, so those are my sewing basics. We are actually going to be making a project together where I demonstrate these skills with you guys. I went on moodfabrics.com and they have a lot of really great free patterns. I will say, when you are working with a free pattern from Mood, the instructions are very minimal and sometimes the pattern isn't necessarily perfect. That is something I experienced in this project, which we will get into a little bit later. When you get your pattern all printed out, you just kind of have to take the time and tape everything together and then cut out the pattern. This is annoyingly time consuming. So when it came to me laying the pattern on the fabric that I selected, my fabric was not long enough. Having a little bit of a personal problem. My fabric is not long enough for this pattern. I did kind of have to do a little pattern alteration. I cut off the waistband at the top of the pattern, and then I was just going to like trace that onto my fabric and cut it out separately. And this actually worked out to my benefit because I completely forgot that the elastic size that I have is much wider than the elastic that is recommended to use in this pattern. So when I was cutting out the new waistband, I was using my fabric marker to draw a couple of, I think like an extra like inch or 2 inches onto the waistband so that I would have enough room to slide my elastic through and it wouldn't get all crumpled up in the waistband. We're gonna move into the next step, and I'm just gonna attach the top waistband piece to each 4 of the pattern pieces. The first step of sewing this pattern was to sew the inseam into the crotch for both the front 2 pant legs and then the back 2 pant legs. Immediately after doing this, you are going to want to meld your stitches. For these seams, I was pressing them both together, so I just went to one side. The next step after I connected both the front 2 legs and the back 2 legs is I was going to connect the front and the back on both the right and the left leg together. So I basically just went from the center point of the crotch down one leg, and then I went back to the center point of the crotch and then down the other leg. What did I do immediately after sewing? I melded my stitches and I finished my seams. The outer leg seams, I wanted to have this split open because I personally wanted to add bows to my pattern. You could just sew the side seams together like normal, but if you want to do something like I did, this is how I did it. Tried on my pants and then I figured out where I wanted the split in the side seams to start, and I just sewed down that line until I got to the point where I wanted the split to start. For this, I wanted to press my seams open because down each of the split legs, I wanted to fold the ribbon into the seams, and so I needed the seams on each side to fold away from center. I pressed my seams open, and then I went ahead and ironed all the way down the side leg so that when I was putting the ribbon in, I could easily wrap the ribbon around the seam, and then when I went ahead and top stitched everything together, it was so much easier. And this is one of those moments where being good at ironing is really important, because had I not ironed the seam already into the pant, it would have gotten so messy trying to pin and adjust these ribbons and then top stitch everything together. But because I already had this crease on the outer pant leg, it really worked to my benefit. Now it was time to work on the waistbands. I went ahead and folded it in half, and then I sewed the part that I had folded down to the waistband. However, when I did this second time, I left a 2-inch gap, or a little bit less. I wish I had made it a little bit wider, but I left about a 2-inch gap in the back so that I could feed the elastic through. And I just used a safety pin to help me feed the elastic through. And then when it came to connecting the elastic, how I learned to sew elastic together is to do like a cross stitch, because then you're just getting like all of the threads or all of like the elastic bits and bops. I don't know. There's so many different ways that people go about sewing the elastic. Sew it however works best for you. I just stick with the cross because that is what my professor told me to do. So that's what I do. We're going to go ahead and just close our waistband. So I'm going to just get the elastic adjusted throughout the waistband, and then I'm just gonna go in and stitch the little hole really quick. Our waistband is officially closed, so I just want to like evenly space the gathers of the waistband around the elastic just as best as possible, because the next thing that we are going to do is secure the elastic to the pants so they don't like slide around. And what that means is at each of the 4 seams, the one in the front, the one in the back, and then the 2 on the side, we're just going to do a straight stitch in the ditch, which is stitching right into the already existing seam. This way the elastic won't twist around when you are wearing the garment. Pants were done. I wanted to make a very simple and easy little top to go with this, and this is probably one of the easiest things that you can make. You don't need a pattern for this. I cut out from this tablecloth that I had this rectangle piece of fabric. It was a bit bigger than my body circumference, which is good because we want it to like gather and be like scrunchy. So basically along the top edge, I used some bias tape to finish the edge and kind of tuck the raw edge of my tablecloth fabric that I cut up into the bias tape, and then 2, to also use the bias tape to make a channel for elastic. So I sewed along that top edge and then the bottom edge of the elastic at the very top of the neckline, and then a couple inches down where I wanted the second channel of elastic to sit. And once I had those 2 channels made with the bias tape, I went ahead and fed the elastic through. And as a stylistic choice, I went ahead and left about an 1 inch of bias tape because I wanted there to be like a space in the front if I wanted to wear it like that, or like a little space in the back. It was just like a little minor design detail that I chose to do. You don't have to do it. You could totally close the entire seam if you would like, but that is just what I personally chose to do for this project. In hindsight, I really do wish that I had made the legs in the pants a little bit wider. I am a thick thigh girly, and these were just kind of sitting a little bit too tight for my preference. And then also the rise of like how high-waisted these pants were was just a little bit too high for my preference. So if I were to make this pattern again for myself, I would shorten the rise a little bit, and I would also open the leg a little bit more too, so that they were a little bit more wide fit. But all in all, I am very pleased with how the sewing project came out. It was very simple and it was really fun. And I hope that this was a helpful video for you guys along your sewing journey. Don't forget to subscribe for lots more sewing and fashion content. And until next time, bye friends.